is Mark Gunn Media.
Hit it!
Welcome to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. I'm your host, Mark Gunn. The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and not necessarily reflective of anyone or any entity associated with this broadcast. This episode brought to you by Before Your First Gig, an audiobook written by Steve Dustcircle and produced by Mark Gunn Media. If you're a beginning musician, this is a primer that you'll definitely want to hear. Tips and strategies for setting yourself up for live performances and paid gigs. Before Your First Gig by Steve Dustcircle. Available now on iTunes, Audible.com, and Amazon. Before Your First Gig by Steve Dustcircle. Produced by Mark Gunn Media. This episode, COVID-19 and unintended consequences. As Americans continue to brace themselves for what appears to be a new normal as we continue to learn more about the COVID-19 virus, there are a lot of unintended consequences that people all over the country are trying to reconcile. People are being laid off of jobs that are being deemed as non-essential. You've got state governments and employers that are stepping up to take care of their employees in quite a few cases. As the numbers continue to climb as far as infection cases and even deaths, more and more people are scrambling to get accurate information as to how to deal with the virus. Yes, you've heard all of the steps that you can take as far as social distancing is concerned, constantly washing your hands for 20 seconds at a time, keeping your throat moist with warm liquid. You may not have heard that one. People wearing latex gloves and respirator masks. There's a whole shortage of those that I'm not even going to get into because we've got a lot of health workers that are at risk at the moment. Now, as far as the federal government's response, well, you've got a few senators that are being responsible, and they are putting their muscle behind the governors of their states. Then again, you've got the White House, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But before I get thrown off track, one of the unintended consequences of the COVID-19 virus. As you probably know, more and more Americans are starting to work from home, which means that they need to make sure that their internet connections are strong enough and fast enough for the work that's required by their employers. Being an IT professional myself, part of my job is to handle a lot of these calls. Now, one of the other things that we have to think about, and this is something that I talk about quite a bit when I'm working with people with internet, are parents and grandparents. We're all in self-isolation because the governors and mayors are telling us to do this. And for a lot of us, the internet is one of the only sources that we have to keep in touch with what's happening with the real world. For your moms, dads, grandmoms, and granddads, that internet connection is so important because it, in a lot of ways, is the only way that they have to keep in touch with you. One of the things that I deal with, along with literally millions of IT professionals with internet service providers all over the country, people that don't know what to do when it comes to offline connections or how to handle their internet equipment, which is where you come in. And this is where I tend to get on a lot of younger people who are extremely tech savvy because you've grown up with this kind of thing. Thing is, your parents and grandparents, for the most part, have not. So when we handle those calls from, say, an 85-year-old grandmother who is in hysterics almost because her internet is down, yeah, we can walk them through how to fix the situation, and a majority of the time, the outcome is that we're able to get her back online. However, in those times where we do have to send technicians out, and this goes for any internet service provider because these companies are also taking extra precautions as far as their on-the-ground technicians are concerned. This is where you need to step up in order to help older folks to maintain. Stop me if you've heard this. Your mom or your dad is online. Something goes wrong. They don't know what to do. They call for you or a younger kid in the house who is a lot more tech savvy than they are, and they want to know how to fix the problem that they're fixing. What ends up happening is the youngster ends up fixing the problem, and then cops an attitude if mom or dad asks how they did it. Here's where the disconnect comes from. Again, younger people have grown up with this technology, older people have not. So, as an unintended consequence, we have more and more people with one more thing that they're getting upset about that they don't need to be, and it's that lack of internet connection. So here's what I'm asking personally. If you run into that situation, if there is a way that you can Skype or FaceTime or Duo with a grandparent or a parent that's not with you, take the time to explain to them how to get reconnected or how to do certain things on the computer. It could be something as easy as putting together an email or how to reset their equipment so that they can get back online. Now, did you know that on average, most Americans do not know the difference between an internet modem and a Wi-Fi router? No harm, no foul. They're not really expected to know. They get the equipment, the technician plugs it in, and it's supposed to work. Well, we're living in a time where being technologically savvy is even more important. So, as an IT professional, I'll run this down for you real quick so that you can at least take this information in, and then I'm hoping that your kids or grandkids will reach out to you if you do need the help. So, most households will have an internet modem and a Wi-Fi router. The basic description of the modem is a small box that has a round cable with a metal tip that screws in the back. That's called a coaxial cable. That is the cable that brings in your internet signal from outside of the home and into the modem. That is the engine that drives your online internet car, okay? Now, attached to the modem is a Wi-Fi router. The Wi-Fi router is responsible for taking the internet signal from the modem and making it wireless throughout your house. Think of it this way. Your internet modem is a water hose, okay? The Wi-Fi router is a sprinkler. The internet is the water that goes through the hose. So as the water flows through the hose, it goes to the sprinkler. And if the signal is intact, or if you don't have any leaks in the hose, you're going to have a pretty decent internet signal. However, things do go wrong. Say you go offline. You can equate that to maybe there being a kink in the hose. Or maybe you're not getting enough water pressure out of the sprinkler. There's something going on between the hose and the sprinkler that's keeping you from connecting properly, okay? So if you can keep that concept in mind, you've got a pretty good visualization as to how Wi-Fi works. So in order to, and this is the most basic of fixes when you have an internet problem. If you happen to go offline, what we typically ask you to do, and you've probably done this at some point, is to unplug the power cord to the modem and unplug the power cord to the Wi-Fi router, okay? Or in other words, you're turning the water off so that you've got no water flowing through the water hose. In 10 seconds, you plug the power back into the modem. Now remember, that's the device that has the round cable that sends you the internet from outside. What you want to look for on the modem in order for it to be fully reset, depending on the model of the modem that you have, is an online light. It might look like a globe. It might actually say the word online, something to that effect. When you have that light, chances are you've got an internet signal coming into the modem. The next thing you need to do is feed that signal back to your Wi-Fi router. By plugging in the router, depending on the make and the model, it'll take anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds to fully reset. If you look on the router, you're going to see a couple of things. You'll actually see the power button, you'll see an online button, and you're going to see a couple of numbers. 2.4 gigahertz or GHz and 5 gigahertz or GHz. Those symbols, and I'll explain those in a minute, once you get the router back online, you should, for all intents and purposes, have an internet connection. That's the basic thing. Now, if after you've done that, you still don't have internet, that's when you call your internet service provider. Or you call your kid. But give your internet service provider a call, okay? Now, To quickly explain the 2.4 and the 5 gig signals on your router, those are different frequencies. They act like radio frequencies, AM and FM radio. That would be the best analogy to use. So for your 2.4 connection, that is designed to give you wider coverage throughout your home or apartment. Typically, you would connect tablets, smartphones, laptops, anything that you're using that's away from the modem and router. The 5G connection gives you a faster wireless speed, but it doesn't give you as much range. So to break that down, think of 2G and 5G as AM and FM radio signals. So you know how you're driving in the country, right? And the radio station you're listening to is nice and clear, no interference anywhere. And then when you get to a closely populated area, you start getting stations to overlap and that type of thing. Think of your Wi-Fi router operating with literally hundreds of other Wi-Fi routers in your neighborhood. Every now and then, you get signals that crash. That can cause you to lose your connection from time to time. All right, so that's your AM signal or your 2G. The FM or 5G, again, gives you a stronger, faster connection, or an FM signal is stronger, cleaner, and clearer, but it doesn't give you as much distance. You're limited by the strength of the FM signal. So keep those things in mind. And one simple rule of thumb is if you can put it in your pocket, you want to connect it to the 2G. If it's a gaming system, streaming TV, desktop computer, or you're working in a stationary area, you want to connect that to the 5G. Now, if you have any questions about any of this, contact your internet service provider. Doesn't matter who it is, the technicians there will be more than happy to give you more information about it. Or you can Google internet connections and Wi-Fi. There's a complete explanation of all of that. Hopefully, that breaks it down for you, makes it a little easier for you to understand. So as we get more and more people getting online for work and school, more and more of these things are going to happen. And your internet service provider is being deemed as an essential service by a lot of city and state governments. So the pressure is going to be on them to make sure that you stay connected. So again, if you are a younger person and you are extremely tech savvy, please, if mom, dad, gramps asks, please help them out. Because again, for a lot of them, it's the only way they have to keep in touch with you. Speaking of keeping in touch, who's doing a better job when it comes to keeping you safe from COVID-19? More after this.
This is Mark Gunn Media.
Hit it!
Hey, what's up? This is Mark Gunn. I have an audiobook that I collaborated on with author Steve Dustcircle. It's called Before Your First Gig. It's written specifically for the new band or artist just getting started. In about 15 minutes, we will give you the blueprint for setting up to give live performances, marketing your band, and making your music presentable to the masses and the audience that you're going after. Thousands of dollars in sound advice for, get this, $3.99. That's right, $3.99. To download your copy, simply go to my website, markgunmedia.com. That's markgunmedia.com, and the link is on the homepage. It's available from Audible, iTunes, and Amazon. Just click the link that you prefer. As an added bonus, with the proof of purchase, I'll send you the Mark Gunn Media Artist Starter Kit at no additional cost. In it, you'll find all the resources you need to learn about music licensing and publishing, how to register your music with BDS and SoundScan in order to get radio airplay. There's also information about how to become a member of ASCAP and BMI. All the forms you need are included. And finally, the relationship between music and money, how you can cash in. Once you've downloaded your copy of Before Your First Gig, send me an email confirmation by going once again to the website, markgunmedia.com, and hit the Contact Us link. Just give me the name of one of the chapters you heard and any feedback about the book that you may have, and I will send you that Artist Starter Kit. Thousands of dollars worth of information for just under $4. You won't find this anywhere else. Remember, go to markgunmedia.com and download Before Your First Gig from the link on the homepage. Reach out with your proof of purchase by giving me the name of one of the chapters you heard, and the Mark Gunn Media Artist Starter Kit is yours at no additional cost.
Mark Gun Media. No hype, no hoopla, just damn good work.
For downloads of this and past episodes and information about all the multimedia services we offer, log on to our website at www.markgunmedia.com. That's markgunmedia.com. Welcome back to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. My name is Mark Gunn. We've been talking about COVID-19 and the consequences of America's new normal. We talked about how the internet is becoming more and more important as employers start to send more of their employees home to work. And I stressed the importance of young people keeping in touch and helping out older folks who are not as technologically savvy as they might be. So once again, if you have questions at all about your internet connection, how it works, or if you have questions that you can ask your internet service provider, do not hesitate to do that. Even though their workload has increased almost exponentially, they are still there and they're ready to help you. Speaking of help, lots of states and local governments are really stepping up when it comes to protecting their citizens from the COVID-19 virus. They're taking all of the information that they're getting from the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta and disseminating it to their citizens. As of this recording, 4 states are on total lockdown, which is more assuredly more to come. And one of the things that people have been talking about, and I've been talking about this especially, is the difference between the state and local response versus the federal response. I've been taking a lot of heat from Trump supporters because, frankly, the way that Donald Trump has handled the COVID-19 crisis has been embarrassing.
The president loves saying things like, there's a drug we've got. It's very effective. It's approved already. Everybody's going to get it. He loves saying things like that because that would be a lovely thing to be able to tell people. Unless, of course, that's not true, in which case telling people a fairy tale like that is cruel and harmful and needlessly diverting and wildly irresponsible from anyone in any leadership role. It's actually wildly irresponsible if somebody said that to you from a bar stool, if any of us could go to bars anymore. But to get that from somebody at the presidential podium, nevertheless, he keeps doing it. In the weeks leading up to now, we have repeatedly heard claims from the president that the virus was well contained, that it was well under control, that it was going to disappear. Remember that? Like a miracle, he said it was going to disappear. In terms of material, tangible promises, President Trump claimed that we'd have 1.4 million tests available this week. Of course, we've seen nowhere near that. We've got about a tenth of that. Last week, Trump announced that Google was developing a website to help people decide if they needed testing and where they could go to get it. It was going to be very quickly done, he said, unlike websites of the past. Turns out, of course,
I have an
that
audio
website
book
is
that I
still
collaborated
in the
on with
early
author
stages
Steve
of development,
Dustcircle.
and currently it's
It's
only being
called
tested in
Before
one part
Your
of
First
California,
Gig.
and it's not
It's
even
written
really working
specifically
just
for the
that.
new band
President
or
Trump
artist
announced that
just
the Navy
getting
was
started.
sending 2 medical
In
ships,
about
one to New York
15
City, one
minutes,
to the West
we will
Coast,
give you
to
the
help treat
blueprint
patients.
for setting
He said
up to
those
give
ships would
live
be launched
performances,
over the next week or
marketing
so,
your band,
depending on
and
need.
making your music
Wrong.
presentable to the masses
That was
and the
also
audience
wrong,
that you're
as
going
NBC's
after.
Courtney Kuby puts
Thousands
it,
of dollars in
it's
sound advice for
anybody's
get
guess
this.
as to when those ships will come in.
$3.99.
One of those ships is
That's
currently
right.
undergoing maintenance.
$3.99.
It has no medical personnel on board.
To
The other one
download
is
your
also
copy,
undergoing
simply
maintenance,
go to my
and
website,
it lacks a medical crew altogether. Remember, the president said
That's
it'll be there next week.
markgunmedia.com,
It won't be there
and the
next
link
week.
is on the homepage.
The president has claimed that the government has,
it's available
quote,
from
massive
Audible,
amounts of ventilators.
iTunes, and
Maybe
Amazon.
in normal times,
Just
I
click the
guess you
link
might
that
say
you
that, but
prefer.
in a crisis like this,
As
the
an added
government's
bonus, with the
stockpile of
proof of
ventilators will not
purchase,
be
I'll
nearly
send
enough
you
to
the
satisfy the
Mark
demand.
Gun
We
Media
need
Artist
literally
Starter
tens
Kit
of
at
thousands
no
more than
additional
we
cost.
have. He
In
said
it,
similar
you'll
things
find
about
all
face
the
masks and
resources
other
you need
protective
to
equipment for
learn
health
about
workers.
music
He told a
licensing and
group of
publishing,
nurses that the
how to
government had
register your
ordered
music with BDS and
500 million
SoundScan in order to get
N95
radio
respirator
airplay.
masks. He
There's
declined to
also
mention
information
that
about how to
order will
become a
take
member of
18 months
ASCAP
to fill
and BMI.
if we're lucky.
All the
There is a
forms you
clear
need are
pattern here
included. And
in this
finally,
crisis of the
the
president
relationship
promising
between
stuff that he
music
knows
and money,
America would love
how
to
you
hear,
can cash in.
but it's not true.
Once you've downloaded your
And
copy
even
of
stuff
Before
that
Your
he's
First
saying
Gig,
that he will
send me
do,
an
that the
email
federal government
confirmation
will do,
by going
he's
once
not
again to
doing.
the website,
And so the specific
markgunmedia.com,
way in which the
and hit
president
the
is failing
contact
now
us
is
link.
clear.
Just give me
We
the
have said
name
from
of
the
one of
very
the
beginning,
chapters you
watch what
heard
they do,
and
not what
any
they
feedback
say.
about the book
That's
that you may have.
very,
And
very
I will send you
relevant
that
here. And I
artist
say
starter
this not
kit.
to vent my outrage
Thousands
or
of
anything.
dollars
I am
worth of
over that,
information
frankly, at
for
this point.
just under $4.
I'm just saying it because I
You
feel
won't
like
find this
we should
anywhere
inoculate
else.
ourselves
Remember,
against the harmful
go to
impact of these ongoing
markgunmedia.com
false
and
promises
download
and false statements
Before
by
Your
the
First
president
Gig
by
from the link
recognizing
on the
that when he is
homepage.
talking about
Reach
the
out with your
coronavirus
proof of
epidemic
purchase
more often
by
than
giving
not,
me the
he
name name of one of the chapters
Even
you
when
heard.
he's talking
And
about
the
what he
Mark Gunn
has
Media
done or
Artist
what he
Starter
will
Kit
do,
is
he
yours
is
at no
consistently
additional
lying
cost.
and giving you happy talk that is stuff that
Here's
the federal
hoping that as you
government
go
isn't
on your
actually
musical
doing.
journey,
And
you
it's
find
making
freedom
people
in
around
being
the country
creative
count on the
and
fact
being
that the
in
federal government is
complete
doing that stuff
control of
when
your
they're not.
destiny.
I mean, there may be other people in the federal government who are saying things that are true, but these daily briefings from the White House are a litany of things from the president that would be awesome if they were true, if they were happening, but they're not. And so the sooner we come to terms with that, I think the better for all of us. If it were up to me, and it's not, I would stop putting those briefings on live TV. Not out of spite, but because it's misinformation. If the president does end up saying anything true, you can run it as tape. But if he keeps lying like he has been every day on stuff this important, all of us should stop broadcasting it. Honestly, it's going to cost lives.
And it's becoming obvious that the pressure is getting to the White House based on this testy exchange that Donald Trump had with a reporter for asking one of the most basic and common sense questions.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead. I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and the same with NBC and Comcast.
So
I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. Let me just for whom you work. Let me just say something. That's really bad reporting. And you ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see if it works. It might and it might not. I happen to feel good about it, but who knows? I've been right a lot.
Be that as it may, he is supposed to be the one in charge of leading the effort to fight the COVID-19 virus. But the thing is, when it comes to his press briefings, I've turned him off. I can't count on anything that comes out of his mouth. As Rachel Maddow said earlier, more than likely, anything that comes out of his mouth is going to be a load of crap. And that load of crap is dangerous to you and me. Even flanked by medical professionals that have to distance themselves from the comments that he makes on the podium, it makes the credibility of their overall effort highly suspect. So here's what I suggest. Instead of listening to the president and getting loads of misinformation, check out trusted sources like your own governor, your own mayor, and health professionals that are in your community. They are taking full advantage of the internet, television stations, radio stations, and disseminating as much information as they can on a daily basis. In fact, Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear is getting high praise from all over the country for the way that he's handling the COVID-19 crisis. Secondly, do not get caught up in the numbers that you're hearing every day. Those numbers are going to go up the more people get tested. That is a given. So if you freak out about the numbers, you're missing the bigger point. So as we get more and more information about the infections, we're also getting information about people that are actually beating the virus. Look, this is going to be a new normal for us for quite a while. The thing that we have to demand as American citizens is that our representatives tell us the truth. If Donald Trump and the White House can't do it, I'm damn sure going to count on my governor, my mayor, and my city officials and health officials to do the same. So as far as I'm concerned, whenever the White House comes on, I'm turning it off because I can't trust anything that they say. But I can trust Andy Beshear, and you can trust the governors and mayors of your state. They're closer to the situation. They know how your cities and states run. They can give you the most valuable and accurate information, and they have done, okay? Now, if you need information about what's going on in your area, take advantage of the city resources that are being provided, okay? Information on how to talk to your kids about what's going on. Teachers that are sticking together to provide education to our kids while they're online. Speaking of which, gotta give mad credit to the folks at Spectrum Communications. They have a 2-month initiative going on called Keep America Connected, in which they're offering free internet and Wi-Fi for 2 months for anyone who does not have internet service with Spectrum. So if they are an ISP in your area, you definitely want to check them out. You can go on their website at spectrum.com for all the details. Look out for other tech companies stepping up. Either your cell phone companies, cable systems, A lot of folks are pitching in to make sure that you are connected and that you have all the information that you need as we continue to fight this virus. All right? You, me, all of us, we're in the same boat and we have to stick together. So again, follow the guidelines that your officials give you. Social distancing, I know it's hard, but it can be done. So the sooner that we're all able to get on the same page when it comes to fighting the virus, the sooner we'll be able to beat it, and the sooner we'll be able to get things back to whatever normal is. For now, sending you a lot of love and light, and hopefully you and your family will stay safe. You've been listening to Gunshots Straight from the Hip. The views expressed are those of the host and guests and not reflective of any business entity or anyone associated with this broadcast. If you have any comments or want more information on how to be a sponsor, log on to our website at markgunmedia.com or call us at 502-407-0283. That's 502-407-0283. Thank you for listening.
Mark Gun Media. No hype, no hoopla, just damn good work.